Do you need help with marketing, new clients, or online reviews? Massage Book is your solution, streamlining all the challenging aspects of your massage therapy practice. This powerful software simplifies scheduling, payments, and marketing, allowing you to focus on what you do best, helping clients live better. Plus, sign up now with code ABMP50 and get $50 off after your free 30-day trial. Visit massagebook.com, create an account, and transform your practice today. That's Massage Book with code ABMP50 for $50 off. Don't wait. Give it a shot today.
Hello and welcome to Fully Booked with Elicia Crook. Today I'm going to be talking about growth and the way to become fully matured in our learnings. Before we get into that, I want to share a little bit again about our Health Leader Mastery Program. It's a 12-month coaching and mentoring program designed for therapists and wellness professionals who really want to grow a profitable, sustainable practice without burnout and are looking for maximum growth. This is an immersive learning experience. It's not just a program. This is really a community of like-minded and like-hearted therapists. And we get to work really closely. And this is really fun. This is probably my favorite program that we deliver. And I love the impact that this program creates in our industry. It's been running for 10 years, and we've seen firsthand the incredible momentum that this program creates. If you are looking to grow your practice to the next level, maybe you want to add a modality, or you're looking at creating an online course, or you want to bring on staff, or maybe you're looking at creating an in-person experience. This program helps you do that. You can check it out at healthleaderco.com/mastery. One of the things that we do in this program is we run quarterly events. They're hybrid events. And I wanted to share something that I shared with our mastery clients in the last intensive we ran. It's a place called Adelaide in South Australia. It's a beautiful part of the world. It's one of our wine capitals of Australia, and you're welcome. If you've heard of Jacob's Creek, I don't know how far that's gone. It's probably as an Australian, it's our least favourite wine, to be fair. But a lot of people from overseas have heard of it and love it, and that's great for you. And when we were there, we love to be able to experience different parts of the places we go to. But one of the things that we talked about was a framework about how we take our learnings, whether we're going and learning, a weekend course, we go to and we learn a hands-on skill. In any context that we're learning things in our business or in our career, there is a certain pathway that we often journey through. And I think one of my mentors once said to me, it doesn't matter where you are. What matters is you know that you're there. And I really love this because another thing one of my other mentors shared was awareness creates a possibility of a different choice. So if we notice some stuff coming up for us when we are learning, and as a trainer and mentor and coach, I can guarantee that stuff often comes up for people when they're learning. It's kind of weird, right? This is one of these funny things. It's like when you start doing something new, let's say you want to learn a new skill, and we see this when we teach Remedial Hot Stones. It's just hilarious. These seasoned therapists like, yes, I want to learn this skill. It's going to be great. And then you put a stone in their hand and they start freaking out. And it's like, why is that? And I think part of it is because we're so used to the familiar in our treatment room. We're used to knowing what to do. We're used to knowing how to, manage our clients, and we're used to knowing exactly what we need to do in that moment or researching it. And we can feel quite safe in that. And I think when you start to introduce something new, stuff comes up for us around our learning. And I think of this like a suitcase, like have you ever opened up your suitcase after going to an event? You go away on holidays and you come back, or an event and you come back. And it's like when you open your suitcase, why is there always sand in the bottom? And usually a Mentos. Like what? I don't understand how that gets there. And, our learning can be a little bit like this, is that sometimes we bring stuff with us when we go into a learning space. maybe we were told we weren't good learners, or maybe we always felt that we were behind other people when they were learning, or maybe, like me, you might be dyslexic or ADHD or on the spectrum, or, and we have all these stories around learning that are sometimes unhelpful. And like I said, it doesn't matter where you are. What matters is that you're there. And for me, discovering that I was dyslexic, I just thought I couldn't spell, and realizing, hang on, actually, no, there's a pattern to this. That's really interesting. And other people have similar patterns. Cool. And it gives you some cool superpowers, because often people who are dyslexic can actually see things in 3D. And that's not the case for me, but I can see people in 3D, both physically and emotionally. And I kind of love that, like I've learned to use that as a strength. And so we can take these things that are sometimes unhelpful into a learning space. And so one of the things that we invite our participants when they come into a room is to actually notice what's already in their suitcase. Where's their Mentos and sand, and how's that jingling around? And if they want to be able to put things in their suitcase, learnings in their suitcase that helps them they can wheel it into their future and, take it with them into the treatment room the next week or into their businesses the next week, what do you need to remove from your suitcase first? And I love this analogy because I just imagine bringing a wheelie suitcase into a training room and looking and noticing, like, what does it have in it already? And if it's already full of stuff, then it can be really hard to add additional things in. Kind of cool, right? So one of the ways that we share of unloading your suitcase is through a framework called Reliance to Interdependence. Pretty simple, yeah? And sometimes as business owners, especially in the massage and wellness industry, we can often celebrate independence. Like, in fact, many of us super strong and independent. And often this is the reason why we started, treating, and why perhaps we wanted to run our own business, because we wanted the holidays and the freedom, and, we wanted to be able to choose our hours and our pricing and our direction. And independence can feel pretty attractive because for many people represents choice. But what I've noticed over the years is that independence isn't actually where the growth ends. It's actually just a stage on the journey. And like I said, anytime we're learning anything new, we actually have to begin in reliance, which this in and of itself can be scary for some people. It can be uncomfortable. It can be unfamiliar, especially if you're used to being a very independent person. In fact, one of the biggest challenges that people tell us they have when they start having coaching is asking for help. And yet, that's the biggest way to create change. And so we want to be able to learn to rely on other people to help us and understand what that looks like, sounds like, and feel like in a safe way. Because think about when you first learned massage. You didn't just walk into a treatment room and instinctively know what to do. You had teachers, supervisors, assessments, feedback, mentors, and classmates, and you actually had to rely on the people around you to point out what you were doing well and where you could do it even better. And so reliance isn't actually weakness. Reliance is actually a necessity. It's a part of learning. And the challenge is that after reliance often comes a period of rebellion. And you can see this in children. It's like when they reach the point where they're like, I've got this. Stop helping me. I can do it myself. I've got a couple of kids, and I joke that they take after James, but they don't. They take after their very sometimes stubborn and extroverted mother. So as often as adults, we can be exactly the same. Someone gives us a framework and we think, oh, that's nice, but I reckon I've got a better way. And one of the things I'll say to our clients is my most literal learners get the results the quickest. When someone's like, oh yeah, I'll do it your way. Yeah, but it's like, you can, but the reason I'm a coach is because we've done the things. Like, we've tested and measured hundreds of times to go, this is the best way. And when someone's like, yeah, I'm going to do it my way, I'm like, cool, we've got a bit of rebellion going on. And rebellion is actually like, imagine just for a second, if you've got kids or you've got nieces, nephews, if you've got, kids that you've seen in the supermarket or in the store, you just know that it would be kind of boring if they just grew up and complied with everything. Like, I know that there are times and moments where we would love that. However, when they're saying, I can do it myself, I've literally got a video of my son. He would have been maybe 5 and he's decided to mop the floor. And I'm like, would you like me to help you? No, I do it myself. I do it now. And I love that because it actually helps them realize that they are their own person. And I think if that's what Reliance does, is it actually weirdly helps us take ownership for our own learning. And this is why I think awareness matters, because we don't want to get stuck there. Because when we get stuck in rebellion, I can do it myself and I've got this and rah, rah, it's like it doesn't really help you move through the challenge. It doesn't help you learn the new technique or the new modality or the new thing in your business. It actually it is a tool, but it's simply just it's one of 4 of really great stages of learning. And so we just want to be aware if this is showing up for us, cool. And if it is showing up for us, what would I have to do to get to the next place? That's often a question I'll ask myself. I think the other thing that rebellion is really good for is that it's where we begin testing ideas and we really start finding our own voice. And we stop just blindly following along and actually start to think critically and start developing confidence actually in our own judgment, which as a practitioner is super important. And I don't think of that as, I don't think it's taught. I think it's something you've got to discover and learn along the way. And the problem is that sometimes people think it's a destination. So what we've found is that the highest performers, the happiest leaders, and businesses that create a great impact don't just stop here. They go to the next one, which is independence. And independence is like, I have got this, not I have to, like I'm going to do it my way. It's more like, no, I've got this. I can implement this plan, or I can learn Facebook ads, or I can, discover my niche, or I can learn this new technique or this new modality, or, MLD or oncology or scars or hot stones or like whatever it is, I can learn it. Like I've got this. There's an independence about it. And again, the challenge can be that some people will get stuck here. Like I'm an independent person and I've got this. The beautiful thing about interdependence, which is quite different, it's I know I can do this, but it also says I don't have to. There's a confidence that comes with interdependence that's actually quite different from independence, because interdependence says I've got this, and if I need support, I can go and I can do this myself and I can do this with others. And look, one isn't stronger than the other. In fact, maybe even interdependence requires more maturity because it actually requires to let go of our ego. And it requires us to acknowledge that somebody else might know something we don't. It requires us to ask questions. It requires us to receive help. It requires us to contribute to something bigger than ourselves. And, nature is actually full of examples like this because ecosystems are built on interdependence. Bees and flowers need one another. Animals and plants support one another. And entire environments survive because of the interrelationships between all the moving parts. And yet somehow as business owners, we think we should be the exception. We think we've got all the answers. We think asking for help means we're failing. And we think needing support means we're not capable. But the longer I've been in business, the more I've realized that growth is almost always relational. Growth in ourselves and growth with others. Because some people are like, oh, I'm just not an extrovert like you. And the truth is you cannot have a successful business on your own. You can't, because who do you work with? Who pays you? Like you can only have a successful business when you care for or serve others around you. Like we may not think about it like that, but that's actually what we're doing. And the more interpersonal relationships that we have, often the better and highly successful our business is. Most breakthroughs I've had haven't happened because I just sat in a room by myself trying harder. Like you're like, oh, I just will everything to work better. They've happened because somebody challenged my thinking, somebody asked a better quality question, somebody held me accountable, somebody shared an experience that actually helped me avoid a mistake. And people often, will think when they're getting coaching that they're joining for marketing strategies and systems and rebooking and leadership, and all of those things matter. But what they're really joining is actually an ecosystem and learning how to become interdependent. That is like, what can I learn? How can I learn it? Who knows this? How could I reach out to them? How could I connect more? And in that environment, they can learn, contribute, challenge, and actually support each other and grow. And the goal isn't to create dependence. The goal is to create capable, confident practitioners who know how to stand on their own feet while remaining connected to a community that helps them become even better. Because transformational change rarely happens alone. It usually happens through relationships, conversations, support, challenge, connection. And I reckon that that's kind of the real journey from reliance to interdependence, where we can grow from one another and be part of the ecosystem that is the massage and bodywork world. For more insights, practical tips, and inspiration to take your practice to the next level, please subscribe to the ABMP podcast wherever you listen to great podcasts.